Alright, what's up everybody, we're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're going to be talking about some teams that I think are stuck in the NBA. A couple of teams that maybe didn't make moves in the past couple of days. Teams that I feel like are just stuck in this middle where they're not great, they're not bad. They're just kind of in the worst spot in the NBA right now, with just being average and not really being able to do much about it. We're going to talk about that here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Links my Twitter, TikTok, stuff like that in the description down below. And don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So the first team we're going to talk about here is the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks currently, they are 23 and 29. They're 10th in the Eastern Conference, and they are stuck. You know, there's a lot of higher expectations coming into this season from me, from a lot of other people, and it just has not really worked out. And at the NBA trade deadline, they're a team that was talked about a lot for selling. And yeah, they're a team that a lot of people expected to trade some players, and they didn't. They stood back, didn't make any moves, and now here they are, just kind of trying to go through the rest of the season like this. DeJounte Murray, of course, is probably the biggest name on the trade market in the past couple of days, and they didn't find anyone to take him because the Hawks their asking price is probably too high or whatever. But the DeJounte Murray and Trae Young pairing in the backcourt just hasn't really worked. We've seen by themselves, you know, they're good, but with each other, when they're playing together, it just has not really worked out with this Hawks team. And to make matters worse, the Hawks gave DeJounte Murray a 4-year extension before the season started because they believed in this team, and it just is not working. You know, they have DeJounte Murray. Bogdanovic was a guy. He is in the Sixth Man of the Year conversations right now. DeAndre Hunter has been in and out of the lineup. He's been injured a lot again this season. Saddiq Bey has not had a great year. Clint Capella is getting a little older and older. The depth, they don't really have a lot of that, you know. So this team is just really stuck in the middle. You know, they're 6 games below 500. They are the last playing spot, and it was similar to last year too. Last year they were a team that was really disappointing. Not this bad, but they're just about 500. Hovering around 500 to maybe a game or two under 500 for the entirety of the year. They fired their coach halfway through the season, brought in a new coach, and then the second half of the season they started getting a little bit better, and ultimately they finished 41 and 41 average, you know. And then they went to the playoffs. They gave the Celtics a little bit more of a competitive run than I thought they were going to get. Eventually they lost in 6, and now coming into this season it was like, all right, you know, after 1 year together, you know, maybe they just needed a year to kind of gel. The head coach came in, Quinn Snyder came in halfway through the season. Now they can get a full off season to kind of integrate his system in, and maybe this team gets better. And they've actually gotten worse. You know, at the All-Star break last season, the Hawks were 29 and 30. They were 1 game under 500 last year coming into the All-Star break. This year, they still have 3 games left before All-Star break. Right now, they're 23 and 29. So at best, they're going to be 3 games under 500. At best, going into All-Star break, you know. And those 3 games they have left, they have the Rockets, the Bulls, and the Hornets. You know, which the Rockets are a good team. The Bulls can beat them. The Hornets, they're probably going to beat the Hornets, but you never know. So at best, they're going to be worse than what they were going into last year's All-Star break, coming into this All-Star break. And it's just not really any way to get better. They have been better recently. They won 4 of their last 6 games. You know, they got some good wins. They beat the Lakers. They beat the Suns. They beat the Warriors in overtime despite Steph dropping 62. Last night they beat the 76ers, even though the Sixers didn't have Embiid or Maxey playing, you know, but they still won that game. They've been getting better a little bit. I mean, again, 5 of their last 7 games. 5 of their last 7 games. It's not bad, but I just don't really believe in this Hawks team, which sucks because coming into this season, I was a big believer in this Hawks team. I had them, I think, as number 6 in the East, maybe. You know, I don't really remember, but I had them around that range, and now they're probably gonna be the last team in the play-in. There's a potential that they don't even make the play-in. You know, but this Hawks team is just very bad. You know, they're just not good. They're not clicking together. The chemistry and just looking on the court, not there. Their defense is pretty bad. They rely heavily on just hoping for a lot of threes, hoping for Trae Young to have 30 and 10 assists really to win, you know, which he has been. Trae Young's been having a really good season. Jalen Johnson has broken out. He's in the most improved player candidacy. That's really the only good thing they have going out into the season. Yeah, right now they're stuck. And look at that the trade deadline, they didn't make any moves, not even trading anybody, not even acquiring anybody. I don't really know. I'm assuming that they're just going to wait for the offseason, so that they have a full kind of offseason and get 2 full years, and then they can kind of assess. But what's there more to assess with this team? Like, really, they're just banking on having another, similar to last year, where they just play better in the second half of the season, win the play-in, and then they get to the playoffs and have to face the Boston Celtics in the first round again? Or the Cavaliers, or the Bucks, or the Knicks in the first round again? And have another first round exit? That's what we're hoping for, I guess. If they even make it there. They're just stuck right now in this bad place. And I'm expecting that this offseason, big change is gonna happen in Atlanta. I'm not saying trade Trae Young or anything like that, but I'm expecting a new roster next season in Atlanta. But they're just really stuck right now and showing. Look at the trade deadline, showing that they didn't try to do anything. Just I don't really know what's going on in the manager, what they think this team is gonna be. Next, gonna go into the Chicago Bulls. They're also stuck, and there's been a lot of talk about the Bulls. They did not make an NBA trade at the trade deadline. They stud packed, not making any moves, similar to the Atlanta Hawks. Right now they're 25-27. They're ninth in the Eastern Conference, and this team is really bad. And I want to talk more about this management in the front office because it's been talked about a lot, but it really needs to be said just how disappointing this management is. I mean, it's new management. They had John Paxson and I forgot what the Garpax management, and it was very bad, and people wanted him out, and they got the request, they got him out. They bring Arturas Karnisovas, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and he has not really done anything to help this team at all. They're okay with being average, is what is showing. You have a 34-year-old DeMar DeRozan who's on the last year of his contract that could have some value on the market. Maybe teams like the Sixers or something don't do anything with that. And now there's even talks about maybe giving him an extension, which that's a whole other thing. Zach LaVine, you gave him a huge 4 or 5 year contract last offseason. And he's a really good player, all-star level player. Hasn't been that great this season. Has some injury problems. And then you almost traded him to Detroit, but now he takes the surgery to end his season. So that kind of is dead there. Nikola Vucevic is 33 years old, and he's just kind of around. He's not doing bad, but he's not doing great either. He's just kind of there. Alex Caruso, you don't trade him, even though he's one of the better role players in the league, and teams would give up a lot for Alex Caruso. Andre Drummond's probably at the highest value he's been since he was in Detroit. And you keep on him. Why? I don't know. Even guys like Torrey Craig, Javon Carter, who can go and help playoff teams because they do little things like that, keep them. So it's like, what are we doing here, Chicago? We're trying to be average, and we're okay with being average. They don't make any moves. They are still, and even Arturas Karnisovas came out after the trade deadline and said, what did he say? I think almost the official quote was basically saying like trade deadline moves don't really change much. Which, yeah, I don't even think I need to explain why that's bad and why that's wrong thinking. So it's just the management is bad over there for Chicago. And they're still number one in attendance. They're number one in attendance, which is why they probably didn't make any moves. Because they're like, well, why do we need to make moves and trade off players when even if we are like this, fans are still coming in. Fans are still packing up the arena. We're keeping it like it is. And it's just bad to see this management kind of not care about their fans in a way. Because so many Bulls fans, you probably know, some Bulls fans aren't a big fan of this. I mean, who would be a fan of this? Who would be a fan of a team that is 25-27 and is not budging and still has hope that this could be a good playoff team for the last 2 or 3 years? When we've seen it's not. They've had a couple months back in 2021 of hope when they were a top seed in the Eastern Conference. And since then, they have not had any hope, anything similar to that success at all. So why? They're just stuck in the middle. The Bulls are just stuck in this kind of... The management is forcing the Bulls to be stuck in this mediocrity where it's just like, we have old players. We have some young players that are decent and solid. We're just going to be cool. We're just going to be a playing team, and again, make it to the playoffs and play the Boston Celtics in the first round. Yeah, we can get 2 home playoff games. That's really what they're saying. We can get 2 home playoff games and money, but we're probably getting swept by the Boston Celtics in the first round. Like, that is just I just don't understand why you would want to be like that. You know, why you would want to just be average. But this ownership, you see it right now. They just care about their money. You know, and it's showing because if they actually cared about this team, they would trade. I would have traded DeMar DeRozan, trade Nikola Vucevic, trade Oscar Russo, trade Andre Drummond, let Kobe White and I would assume moving them take the reins and let's just be good, or let's just go young. Get a good draft pick maybe. Who knows? But this Bulls team is just stuck in this kind of just mediocrity, being average, and they're going to be in the plan again. And I just feel for their fans, because fans should not really have to go through this. Just being just average, not being good, not being bad, just being average, stuck in this playing scenario where it's like there's no really hope. There's not really hope in Chicago right now. And the last team I want to talk about is the Brooklyn Nets. They're a team that at the trade deadline they didn't make moves. Unlike the two other teams we talked about, they traded Royce O'Neal, traded Spencer Dinwiddie, traded Dorian Finney-Smith. Dennis Smith Jr. They did not trade Dorian Finney-Smith. But they're a team I'm kind of disappointed in. I didn't have high expectations coming into this year with the Brooklyn Nets. Thought they're going to be a decent little playing team. Right now, they're sitting 11th in the Eastern Conference. They're 20-31. They have not been good at all recently, and they did not really make as much moves or as much noise I thought they were going to make. They have Dorian Finney-Smith, who is a very valuable role player that a lot of teams would have loved to have on their team, but there's been conflicting reports in the past couple of months about the Nets and kind of what they value their players at. Like there was a report that said they turned down 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith, which is kind of the reason Dorian Finney-Smith is still a Brooklyn Net, is because teams saw that then they turned down 2 first-round picks, even if it's true or not. Then we're not going to give anything else, because what else would we give up for Dorian Finney-Smith? He's a good role player, but it's like, really? Even have Mikal Bridges as a potential guy that you could trade. He's shown that he's not a superstar number 1 option, but sure, a lot of teams would love to have him as a number 2, number 3 option. Don't do that. Nick Claxton was a name maybe on the market. I can see why they didn't trade him. Cam Johnson. They just had a lot of things that I thought they could move and maybe get better in terms of being younger and getting more assets and stuff, but they just didn't do it. And they kind of forced themselves into this where they talked a lot about, oh, we want this and this for Dorian Finney-Smith and this for Royce O'Neal and this, and they got nothing really. What they got the trade on was 3 second-round picks, which is still decent, but it's like they probably could have so much more if you trade Dorian Finney-Smith, trade Royce O'Neal for things that were already out there, and stuff like that. But they're just kind of stuck. I do not like watching this Brooklyn Nets team. It's they're just stuck in this kind of middle mediocrity where they have good enough players where they're not going to be horrible like the Wizards or the Pistons, but it's a team full of role players. At the end of the day, they don't have a star over there. If they had a star player, they probably would be a playoff team, but they don't. So it's just kind of like their offense is bad. It's just kind of like Cam Thomas and Mikal Bridges going one-on-one. A lot of three-pointers being taken. Their defense is a lot worse than I expected it to be. I thought they were going to win games because of their defense, but they have not been doing that this year. Some of their guys are not having as big of a years as we expected them to. And it's just it's bad in Brooklyn. It's bad. And I'm disappointed because coming into the season, I thought this was going to be a fun team. I didn't think they were going to be good, but I thought they were going to be at least fun. Be about a 500 team, maybe win 39, 40 games. Be at 9 seed, 8 seed, sneaky in the play-in and stuff. But they're worse than that. They might not even make the play-in. Looking at how this team works, and I'm just really disappointed in this GM and the management for not really capitalizing and making moves and getting future assets and stuff, and kind of giving up this team and being like, all right, yeah, we're just gonna go into a full rebuild. Let's just trade that's what I would have done, seeing how this team was looking. But just go into a full rebuild, trade everybody, and let's just restart. But they didn't. They chose to hold on to a lot of their players except for Royce O'Neal and Dennis Smith Jr., I guess. And they're just gonna ride it out, being this mediocre. Well, not even mediocre, bad. They're 11 games under 500. They're pretty bad. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Just wanted to talk about a couple teams that I feel like are not really heading in the right direction. Teams that I feel like should have done things that they didn't do. And just disappointing teams, honestly. That's what these 3 teams are. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.